Hey everyone, welcome to This Week in Woke Hollywood. I'm Tony D. What went on this week? Well, Mario Lopez was a big story. Mario Lopez went on the Candace Owens show, and Candace Owens is a conservative. She's black, and she has a talk show on PragerU, which is on YouTube. So he went on about a month ago, and they had a discussion, and one of the things they discussed was a story where a 3-year-old was getting hormone treatments to transition at 3. And of course, Mario Lopez said what any adult would say, any normal adult would say, which is, geez, that doesn't sound too smart. Why should a 3-year-old be able to decide crucial medical decisions for themselves? I'm paraphrasing. That's not exactly what he said. But basically, that's what he said. And it was really a statement about parenting. It had nothing to do with being transgender, you know. And, of course, the woke entertainment media seized upon it a month later to get some click outrage and tried to ruin his career. He had to come out and apologize. Big mistake, by the way, Mario. Don't apologize. Apologies get you nothing in this arena. Apology just means, oh, you did wrong. Ha-ha, we knew you were a bad person. That's what apologies get you. So just wait it out. There'll be another news cycle. Now, it may have been that his producers said, oh, Mario, you got to go out and apologize. Because, you know, they're just normal people too, and they... Unfortunately, not everybody's tuned in to all this wokeness. They hear something and they immediately go, oh my God, what did you say, Mario? You had to come and apologize. But it was very reasonable. Let's all be honest here. 3-year-olds should not be able to decide anything for themselves. They're 3, and we live in a society, and the world lives in a society in which children do not make decisions for themselves. Their parents make decisions. So if your 3-year-old is transitioning, that has been your decision, and that is probably a very bad decision, especially if, and this has happened, transgender people sometimes transition back. And, you know, it's not an easy thing. My friend's trans, you know, she went through a lot, and it's a very adult decision. 3-year-olds should not be making adult decisions, and adults should not be making the adult decisions for their future adult. It's for them to make when they're older. And so, yes, Mario Lopez said nothing bad. He's not a transphobe at all. To call him a transphobe is the height of hyperbole. And this was yet more clickbait nonsense, like, oh boy, we're gonna have these great headlines that Mario Lopez, turns out he's a transphobe, everybody click, you know. It's just terrible. Terrible that they would go after, and when they go after a guy that, you know, like it's like going after Ryan Seacrest. I mean, these guys aren't controversial at all. Their whole persona, their whole brand is to be everybody's buddy, everybody's host, to be handsome and charming, and to say the most innocuous things. So the very idea that one of these guys is secretly a transphobe is nonsense. You know, and here's the thing. Why don't any of these woke media people go after shows that and celebrities that aren't quite that famous? Why don't they go after some community play that's being transphobic? Why don't they go after some nobody who's transphobic? I'll tell you, because they'll get no clicks. This is all about clicks. Okay, so leave Mario Lopez alone. Also in the news, this was a smaller story. The guys who make the Survivor show, which I was shocked to learn was in its 38th season, they got into some trouble because they got problematic when one of the contestants, who's a black woman, said that the producers were trying to push her into being the sassy black girl on the show. Now, I don't know whether or not that's true. I don't have any special inside information. But regardless of whether or not that's true, the producers of these reality shows, first off, it's not reality. They're orchestrated. The producers push people either way. And, you know, these actors and people in the world of production are constantly hustling to get more time, more exposure, more money. So, you know, yeah, it may have been that this producer is trying to get her to be sassy. It may or may not be because she's black. It's just about the ratings, clicks, more hits, more dramas. I mean, these shows are orchestrated for more drama. And these actors know that. So sometimes they get booted off the show and they know their career's dwindling, and so they make a last desperate attempt to get some attention for themselves, hoping that someone feels sorry for them and said, oh, that's terrible the way they treated you on Survivor. Why don't you come audition for my sitcom? Or why don't you come be on our show? Or why don't you come and be on this talk show and talk about it? So that's the way it works. This kind of behavior, normally would just be like, if someone said something like that to you, you would say to the producer, well, I'm not really comfortable with doing that. Or, if the producer pressured you and said, well, you either be the sassy black girl or we're kicking you off the show, then maybe you'd have more of a case there. But, the guys who make Survivor, they dragged them up in front of this thought committee or whatever you call it. And it was basically some kind of press conference, and then, one of the reporters is like, well, there's not enough black people on the Survivor show. It's really just token black people. They're not important enough to the story. Which really, again, it's more entertainment media trying to get clicks. Like, it's not woke enough. You have to be even more diverse. We have nothing to complain about. I mean, this is what gets clicks right now. It's wokeness, 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 wokeness. And their response was, well, we sent all our producers to unbiased, or what was it, unconscious bias training. Which basically means, nothing, because if it's unbiased, you obviously, if it's unconscious bias, did you even mean it? No, it's unconscious. You couldn't help it. So, what amount of training is going to, key you into your unconscious bias if all this bias is because of your race or how you were born or whatever? The entire concept is a little bit racist when you even think about it. So this idea that, the stuff you want to stamp out is the conscious bias, the conscious racism, which pretty much in woke Hollywood has been gone for many decades. People are tripping all over themselves to be woke and wonderful and virtuous. So, all these guys want to do is they want to make TV shows and they want to make money, and, in the world of reality television, it's all about drama. It's all about beautiful people sleeping with each other. That's what you tune in for. It has nothing to do with, oh boy, we gotta see how racist we can be. Nobody wants to do that. And you have people on the other side saying like, well, you're not being woke enough. This show's about showing people that, it's inclusive. No, that's not what the show's about. The show's about entertainment. All shows are about entertainment. There are places on television for education, and it's called PBS. It used to be called the History Channel. There's all these places. And what happens to all these places? Well, they usually don't get that many ratings. And what happened to the History Channel? Well, they ended up with ancient aliens and, stories of the Bible. Is the Bible real? And stuff like that. Because education is not why people watch TV. Especially these days. Now it's the internet. The internet is everything. And you can get far more pertinent education to specifically what you need by going on the internet. So the idea that people tune into television, especially today, even years ago, you come home from work, you don't watch TV to be educated. You don't watch TV to be lectured about how racist you are and your unconscious bias. You watch TV to be entertained. And as many shows have proven over the years, sometimes bias is entertaining. Sometimes bias is part of the story, God forbid. Sometimes it's part of the humor. But this woke Hollywood stuff is just making everything boring and bland and conformist for the people who bow down to it. And for the people who are driving this thing, you are destroying your careers. While you're destroying other people's careers, you're actually destroying your own careers in the long term. Because down the road, when this stuff snaps back and it's beginning to snap back, you're going to be done. Because, a reporter who asks me that kind of question, if I'm a big name producer, I'll never, ever ever have that reporter anywhere near me again. I'll never ask a question. I'll never grant him an interview. I'll never let any of my celebrity actors ever have that interview. I'll make sure I'll use my influence to marginalize that guy. Not because he's a particular race or anything, but because he had to play that game with me. Because I can play that game too. And what I'll do to make sure I won't be accused of bias, I will find another reporter of the same race and gender and say, well, I just don't want to answer your questions. I'm going to answer this person's questions. And what are you going to do? Nothing. And your career will go wee, and then you'll be gone. And careers end very quickly in Hollywood, especially, you know, when you're talking about entertainment journalism, you're talking about the bottom feeders in Hollywood. You're talking about paparazzi. You're talking about people, for the most part. Some of the people are very, you know, well-minded people, but a lot of them are bottom feeders, especially on these websites. I've seen what they pay. They pay nothing. They're constantly scrambling for people. And it's all about these clicks. It's all about these headlines. If you look on Craigslist or any of these places that advertise for these kinds of entertainment writers, they will write for next to nothing. We're talking $10, $20 an article, you know, and that's with pictures, and that's like 500 words, and you got to be in LA, and you got to go to movies, you got to pay for them yourself, and maybe we'll reimburse you. Like, that's the kind of entertainment. So these are people who are desperate to make any little bit of money, and they're going to say anything to get a little more money, and they don't care. They're nobodies. You know, these are nobodies who write freelance, and they're just trying to get ahead in this world. And if they're, you know, you've got to pay their rent, I mean, I sympathize with them in that. Like, you got to make money, you got to eat, but you know, if you're going to destroy somebody's career over it, if you're going to damage somebody's careers, Mario Lopez, I mean, this is a guy, he couldn't be more vanilla, in my view. Couldn't be more inoffensive. And for them to go after him, it's just, and they're really, let's be honest, they're going after him because he's exposed himself as a conservative by going on the Candace Owens show. The fact that he would even go on the show, it's like, aha, he's conservative, so now he's fair game. That's wrong. Because there are plenty of people who are not conservative in Hollywood who should be grilled, and there's stories there. That's the ironic thing. There are stories there of excesses of people who are not on the right, and those excesses are being ignored. And those are great stories that would get you clicks and that should be exposed. I mean, you look at some of the people who have finally gotten caught doing terrible things. And, you know, Kevin Spacey and, you know, Weinstein or whatever. You know, these are guys who were politically left. They were fine to be politically left because that's what everybody in Hollywood is, mostly. It's not even that they're particularly political one way or another. And I'm not suggesting their persecution is, or their lack of persecution is political. But the thing is, people are going to tend to ignore them because they say the right things. Whereas people who say conservative things, well, we got to scrutinize those guys a little more. And that's what happens. So that's pretty much what happened in woke Hollywood this week. As I always say, woke Hollywood, please get out of the woke business. Go back to doing your crappy stories, because at least, you know, entertainment, even a crappy story that's just entertaining is at least something. You know, I look at some of these trailers and, you know, I watched that shark movie yesterday and it wasn't particularly good, but at least it wasn't political. At least it wasn't woke from what I could see of it. So that's like a plus in its favor. Go back to making real movies, and then people will come back to watch this stuff. They don't want to be lectured anymore. They don't want to be taught politics in the middle of just vegging out. They just want to forget their troubles. They want to watch some beautiful people do some stuff. Maybe they hook up. Maybe they fight a shark. Whatever. Just get out of the woke business. All right. That's my woke Hollywood minute. I'm Tony D.